It's always good to talk with the publisher of Hogs Illustrated. Clay, how are you today?
I'm doing great.
Good. So I want to talk to you a little bit about John Madden before we get into more about the Outback Bowl and Arkansas basketball. I just don't know of any other football broadcaster that's ever had that much impact upon the sport. And I don't know if it had, an impact upon college football, which is what we focus on more. But do you think that the way that America watches football or understands the game has a lot or anything to do with John Madden in the booth?
Yeah, I think that he did have, a great impact. Yeah, I think you're onto something there. And he could break the game down a little more in detail, but also kept it simple. And what was really fun is when they would rewind the plays and the right guard would pull into the hole, and just before he'd smack the safety, he'd yell, "Bam!" Mm-hmm. And I think everybody loved that. And, I mean, you could hear that, just all that kind of stuff just pop into the vernacular of regular fans. It's like, well, there's that guy, and it's bam. It's like the sound effects that he added. And, it just brought some drama to the whole thing. There's other good ones. And I think that you go back to Cosell and Meredith, that was a grand experiment that everybody said would fail, and it worked marvelously. But that they didn't. I mean, even though Meredith knew the game, they told stories. They didn't really break it down the way Madden did. Madden would break down the game like a coach, but didn't quite get into the what would you call it, the fine jargon. He kept it simple.
The inside baseball stuff. And this is a conversation you and I have had off the air a little bit. It's like it's a difficult thing to balance sometimes when you're trying to explain, what it is you're watching to an audience that's there for two reasons: to watch the game and to be entertained. And it's like Madden was the perfect confluence of information and entertainment at the same time. At least that's the way it came off.
Yeah, you got to be careful. And your sidekick in baseball, he can border on that. Just too much of the exit velocity and all that stuff. And then there's some people that's what they ache for, but it kind of loses itself with some people. You have to remember the masses don't understand what an inside-out swing is, and in golf. And I played golf at a high level, played in college, and I love to get down to the, breakdown of the swings, but I can't write about that stuff because 99% of the people, and I do it in, my fly fishing columns where I talk about the tying of flies. You can't be too technical. And Madden would get right to that edge, and you knew he knew more, but he knew where to stop, and that was his beauty, and it was just so much fun. Everybody said that he was like just like what he looked like, just like a big, cuddly bear. I mean, it just would be fun to spend time with.
I find it. There's so many levels here to talk about with John Madden, but I want to ask you about the effect that he had on the career of Pat Summerall, former Razorback, and one of the greatest play-by-play guys ever, not just in football but also in golf. And he was already an established, successful sportscaster before he was paired with Madden. But, man, that took Pat Summerall to a whole different level. And so much of it was, he was the straight man to Madden's craziness, and they were a perfect combination.
Yeah, I think Pat probably doesn't give get as much credit as he deserves for knowing exactly how to get Madden in and out of things, and also get down in distance and things. And you know that all of that's important. But it also was the time when graphics were really coming along much better. And Summerall knew there were certain things he didn't have to say. Just set the stage and then let his buddy paint the picture, right?
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much all he had to do, and Madden was just so entertaining on himself. And that's what makes a great broadcast, right? It's having that straight guy that can keep the train on the tracks, while the other guy almost feels like he's trying to make a straight track turn left and right half the time.
Yeah, there was something about Madden that was intriguing, and that I think he could have coached longer than he did, and he got out and was still vibrant, and so many of those coaches, when they're done coaching, they're drained. They don't have it in them to do what he did, and it's just difficult to find somebody that had that much success and then could also just roll right into the broadcast booth. And you see so many that they try. I mean, Tony Romo is brilliant. I can listen to him forever and ever. And I was not even a Tony Romo Dallas Cowboys fan. I'm not an NFL guy, but I will watch games that he does. And, and Nance is just perfect with him. It's so you get that perfect match between play-by-play and color, and it's you don't know it until you get it, right? You can't predict how it's going to turn out.
No, you can't. Some of the best broadcasting duos that, we've had, a lot of people thought that they would be disastrous and that they wouldn't work out for. And I know we got a lot of Razorback stuff that we're going to get to, but, with this Madden conversation about coaches and about, athletes and coaches, going into the booth, like brought up Tony Romo, is there anybody in the NFL today that you just kind of can't wait for them to retire and put on a broadcasting jacket because you think that they'll just knock it out of the park?
Yeah, I don't know. And I watched Breeze a little bit. He's better than I thought he would be. I don't know whether – Brady's just going to keep playing. He's going to play till he dies. Or, his wife takes him away to an island or something. I don't know. And I think he'll probably go with her to the island, right?
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah. I don't know who that's a good question, Drew, and I'm not sure. Coach Broyles was pretty good in the booth too, and better than I thought he would be. And that was a pretty good mesh with Keith Jackson. But he got bored with that after a while. And that's the thing is, these high level guys is it something that they really want to do, or would they rather be playing golf? That's what Coach Broyles finally decided. I don't really want to do that. But no, I don't know who that would be. And it might be somebody that you never suspect, like, a lineman can be really good. And, they're not stars, but they could, I don't think like Gronk could do it. I think Gronk would be bad. But he might surprise. You never know.
Yeah, that's interesting. I just remember when NBC put Jerome Bettis on their pregame show. They're like, well, Bettis will be great. He's got this ebullient personality. He's funny. He's intelligent. He was terrible.
Didn't work.
You never know. You never know until you put that person on camera in front of the microphone and say, at it, man.
When that red light goes on.
Dean, you thought, well, that's not going to work. His grammar's horrible. It was beautiful.
And it was the lack of grammar that people really attached themselves to. That's right. Bowl game stuff. Clay, you obviously know the SEC is 0-4 in bowl games so far. The conference that says it just means more. And here it is. It doesn't feel like, just looking at the makeup of the teams that are going into those bowl games. I'm not sure. You could say
0-5 because Texas A&M knew they were going to lose, right?
That's why they pulled out.
Do you think that's why they pulled out? That's why TCU pulled out last year, the Texas Bowl.
They were out of quarterbacks. It's like we ain't playing. Yeah. It's just Jimbo was thinking, man, I got to call plays for somebody that can't execute any of them, so we're not playing.
So so much.
That's my thought, and it's probably being mean-spirited because I don't care anything about the Aggies.
Oh, that's fine. We can be perfectly mean-spirited about them more than once a year. So if it's about bowl season, seems to be so much about want to be there.
Yeah.
When I hear Arkansas players talk, they want to be there. You don't have to worry about want to at this Razorback team.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I watched the Texas Tech Mississippi State game, and I know Leach so much wanted to beat Texas Tech, and not those players and not those coaches, but just to stick it to the administration, who he said are crooks, and whether they are or not, and those guys that he dealt with may not even be there anymore. I don't know. But if you looked out there and saw what he had as far as, and you guys know that I focus on offensive line and defensive line play, and they were without both starting tackles, and their pass protection, just, I felt sorry for their quarterback, Will Rogers. He did not have any time. He could not look down the field. They could only run 1/3 of their passing game because of their pass protection just crashed from the edge. And that's their offense. And if you're on defense and you're without 3 defensive linemen, well, that's the end of that, right? They just took it and ran it right down their throats to start the game. And then Mississippi State had to overload the line of scrimmage to help those defensive linemen, and then they threw it over the top. So, I mean, we saw Mississippi State completely different with all those players. And there's 13 SEC teams that were supposed to play bowl games, and you're talking about the bottom end are all playing. They're teams that are very capable of losing. The bottom end of the league. I think that it'll start to turn around as the top end of the league starts playing in these better bowls.
Yeah, of which Arkansas is one of those top end teams in the league right now.
Correct.
And it's just when you look at the opt out situation with these two programs.
Yep.
It's, Arkansas has many more players that have had impact upon this season that are going to play in this Outback Bowl than Penn State will. Simply put, just because of that, I think Arkansas has an edge.
Yeah. Now the quarterbacks are going to play. That's one of their better players, but all their good defensive players are out. So, I wondered if Monteric Brown, who I think is a pro prospect, was going to play, and he's going to play, and the linebackers are going to play. So all the playmakers on Arkansas's defense are playing. You can't say that about Penn State. That's the strength of their team. And you just go down their roster, and it's this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. All Big Ten, all Big Ten, all Big Ten, all Big Ten, and they're out. And so, but Penn State has a good roster. James Franklin has recruited well, and you don't know of young players who's going to shine, because they'll have some guys that are just as talented as these older, experienced guys that will play in this game. How much does experience matter? Well, it does matter. But you're right about bowl games. I can sit down every year and say, does this team want to be there? Or does that team want to be there? And that's how you pick them, right?
Yeah, that's how you
pick the game.
It's ultimately how you have to pick it nowadays with, how many bowl games there are, with the opt-outs, with the transfers before the bowl game. You kind of just have to see, kind of gauge of who wants it more. And like Phil said, you don't really have to worry about that with this Arkansas Razorbacks team. Everybody shows how much they want it, including Tyson Morris, who is reportedly at practice in Tampa today. How great of news is it to have him back, especially with the opt-out of Traylon Burks?
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that's been pretty solid this year. He may have had a drop here or there, but he's also made some great catches. And he's a guy that KJ trusts and will look for. And that's part of the deal with Burks is not only is he a great player, but KJ trusted him, and they built things around him. Now, Kendall Briles has had 3 weeks to build stuff around other guys, but Tyson Morris would probably be one of those guys that you would look to. And he missed a week of practice. We'll see how that turns out.
And with all the injuries that you talked about, and not injuries, opt-outs on the defensive side for Penn State, it just feels like, and especially with the running back core that Arkansas has, it just feels like one of those games that it's going to be 80% on the ground, 20%, through the air, somewhere around 40-plus running attempts. Is that kind of how you see this game ultimately going to turn out on Saturday?
Nobody's run on Penn State much this year, but without those linebackers there and the shifts they've had, here's the thing that you don't know about bowl games, is especially when you've got another guy calling the signals. Anthony Poindexter is the guy. Manny Diaz is not going to call the signals in this game, according to Franklin. His tendencies may be completely different than Brent Pryce. And so what do you have to go on? What do you expect in certain situations? sometimes you know exactly what they're going to do because they do the same thing. They're going to blitz on 3rd and 12. They're going to do this. They're going to run that stunt. So you just don't know what they say they're going to run the same system, but there's still, some iffiness on what happens. And, that defensively you don't know, okay, their keys, they do this when you line up this way. The quarterback's going to look here. And sometimes you know exactly where the quarterback's going. Mm. But you can change the keys and, the reads in bowl games. I'm talking the defense can change how they play their secondary. Not likely, but sometimes it happens. I remember Boise State completely changed up everything they did for that Fiesta Bowl against Oklahoma. I think you remember that ran the trick play at the end was just, I think, was it the Statue of Liberty? That was just beautiful play. And Oklahoma was clearly more talented, but they were baffled the entire game by what, Chris Peterson had done with their systems. And that's seldom does that happen, but when you have a month, you can do it.
Got a feeling on the playoff? We got a couple minutes left here in the segment, and we got 2 playoff games on New Year's Eve that we won't be able to talk to you about until they're played. So what do you think about these 2, the Cotton Bowl, the Orange Bowl?
Yeah, I hear so many people say that Michigan's, so much better than they've been in the past. They're much more, they're more solid in the offensive line, and that they'll be able to run the ball, and that remains to be seen. You'd like to think that it'd be Alabama and Georgia again, and Georgia'd play a little better, and you'd have a really tight game. But I don't know. Cincinnati has, they beat Notre Dame, but this was not vintage Notre Dame. This was not nearly the Notre Dame team that's been in the past, even though they won a lot of games. I do not think Cincinnati is just loaded up, is dynamic. But we might be surprised, Wouldn't it be, if this is the year that the SEC just doesn't have it, and maybe all these teams that Alabama and Georgia have beat up on all year, we don't know. I guess I just went Roy Kent on y'all. We don't know, right?
I still think we're going to see a rematch.
Probably so. Yeah, that's what I think too. I guess there's still some doubt in my mind, though.
I don't know if I'm going to be rooting for him. Because this, I remember when I started this show, I said, why are we chanting SEC and rooting for teams that these guys aren't going to be rooting for you? See, a lot of fans are like, I wouldn't mind if the SEC wins 1 bowl game this year and it's just Arkansas. And to be quite honest, I'm sort of feeling the same way right now.
That never bothers me. Yeah, okay. I would be with you on that, Bill.
All right. Well, I'd raise Arkansas above everybody else. Sounds perfect for me. Clay, hope you have a safe trip to Tampa.
Leaving tomorrow. I
know you got a long drive ahead of you here. Where is it that you're going to be stopping on the way? Because you can't do the Norfolk River to Tampa straight, can you?
No, you can't. No, I'm thinking about somewhere around. I haven't made the reservation yet. We'll see how far when I get tired tomorrow. But maybe someplace like Dothan, Alabama. How about that?
All right. The open
sounds like a halfway spot.
It's past halfway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awaits Clay Henry, and so does the New Year when we talk to him next. Clay, see you at the Outback Bowl. Thank you.
Look forward to it. Thank y'all.
You got it. Clay Henry, Hogs Illustrated, joins halftime every Wednesday.
BetOnline has you covered for all the holiday season. More props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline remains your #1 spot for all sports action. Head to our new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus with the promo code BELIEVE to receive your bonus. That's BLEAV to receive your bonus. And it's not just football. BetOnline has pro and college hoops, NHL, boxing, UFC, even your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all these amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports.